Public Interest South Africa says that they are appalled by media reports alleging serious irregularities at the Government Pensions Administration's agency. Now, according to media reports, the GPAA has allegedly hired a forensic company, get this, to unmask those who expose corruption within the institution. Now, the agency is responsible for administering funds for the Gauteng Employees Pension Fund, serving 1.7 million employees and pensioners. And last month, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana placed the GPAA CEO, that's Kedibone Madiehe, on precautionary suspension with full pay following allegations of serious misconduct concerning high-value procurement transactions. But for more on this, we are joined now in studio by the Chairperson of Public Interest SA, Mr. Tebogo Khaas. Thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you for having me, Sakina.
So, your initial reaction to this, because it seems truly surreal that someone or some people decide to do the right thing by exposing corruption, and then we have this cause of action to find out who they are.
You know, it took my breath away, if I may use that term, when I learned that the very people who are actually supposed to be praised and encouraged to do what these whistleblowers have done are actually now being hunted and hounded. But it is not surprising at the same time, because that has been the story of all whistleblowers up to this far, going back to those who raised the flag during state capture corruption. Even before the state capture corruption, you know that some of them actually had to go into hiding. We know of one, Alfred Williams, who's also still in exile in the UK. And you ask yourself, why this? Why isn't it that those who actually speak truth or shine a light on malfeasance actually get to be the one who are made to suffer and pay the price?
And I think what makes it even more egregious is the fact that this will be public funds that are now going to be used. The fund, who will be paying for this? Because according to what we read, there's now a contract that has been issued to unmask whoever exposed this corruption. So public money going to be used to track down whistleblowers?
Yeah. Public money, and specifically even public money that is supposed to be managed on behalf of pensioners. And we know how squeezed the economy is, how squeezed everybody is. You're talking about the pocket or empty pockets, or in fact, some people don't even have pockets anymore because you live from hand to mouth. So, because there's no need for a pocket anymore. So to actually divert such funds to pay for something that is so patently unnecessary, it's abominable. In fact, you ask yourself, GPA has got no business spending more money on anything, because they don't even have the capacity to enroll or pay the pensions for military veterans who qualify, have been on hold for years now, for the dispensation that they've been promised.
So if we look at the Protected Disclosures Act, other whistleblower frameworks that exist currently, is it legal what the GPAA is trying to do right now?
Well, we have taken an opinion from our advisors, and it appears that there's nothing legally that is codified that criminalizes retaliation. And that is one of the reasons why we need to move with speed to ensure that legislation actually gets to be amended, to ensure that retaliation is criminalized, so that you can be able to be held criminally liable. Not only criminally liable, but also civilly. You should be able to recover from those officials within GPAA for the expenses that they've now they made the entity to incur. So certainly that is a lacuna, if I may use that term, within the system, it appears. And if that is the case, then something needs to be done very quickly legislatively.
And I suppose from an ethical perspective, you now are going to use public funds to track those who exposed corruption at a public entity. So how do you explain that ethically?
Yeah. And the sad thing is, apparently the people who actually recommended this investigation, some of them are actually in the crosshairs of this type of corruption. And you ask yourself, what is the board doing? Why is the board sitting idly and not taking action? Because it means the board is actually approved of such investigation. And if that is the case, then the board ought also to be held liable. In fact, if anything, they should be declared delinquent, directors at some point, because this is something that we should actually be frowning upon as society.
And I guess this also raises a broader question around whistleblowers, because we've seen whistleblowers paying the ultimate price in this country. We've seen people having to leave South African shores for their own protection, some still in hiding. And then you have something like this happen. So why would people come forward to blow the whistle on corruption?
It's all lip service that apparently government seems to be paying, because if you listen to our leaders or in public stages, they talk about the need to expose the truth, the need to protect whistleblowers, the need to fight corruption, the need to renew this and the other. But in actual fact, when the tire hits the tarmac, we see action that is completely opposite to what people profess needs to be done. So it is something that is quite concerning.
It certainly is, but what are you going to do now as Public Interest SA to take this matter forward?
We will certainly seek to explore a declaration of this board of directors to actually be declared delinquent on the one hand, but also expect the minister to actually act with speed. In fact, if there's one instance where we would appreciate a minister interfering, it is here. He must actually interfere to stop this investigation from taking place. But also, it's also shameful that we find private companies actually benefiting from what is patently wrong, what is immoral, what is something that is they should be actually not be encouraging, because they're also complicit in aiding those who actually want to hide the truth from the public.
And that is true, but it also raises the question about oversight. In as much as you say the Minister of Finance should interfere, but where was the oversight? From them, also from the government employees' pension fund? You know, what happened to the oversight mechanisms?
It's not surprising at some point, if I recall some of the information or reports that we've been getting over months, how, if you look at the constitution of the board itself, apparently there are individuals within there who ought not to be sitting anywhere near a board. And you ask yourself, could that be the reason why we get the kind of results that we are seeing, or the kind of instances of, of whistleblowers being targeted as it is? Because your entity is just as good as your board. If your board does not have the good governance structure, they don't have the ethical leadership in place, you are going to find everybody doing as they can. In fact, how would the board just look away and not even want to ask, how do you go and procure a building or a rental on a building that, one, it's not owned by the people who actually want to rent it to you, or do they have legal mandate to actually do that? And secondly, for a building that you actually don't even need, and you actually didn't pay up front, and you ask yourself, where was the board, and why is the board not doing anything? It had to take the minister to intervene.
And I'll tell you what, we'll certainly follow up, and thanks for bringing us your perspective, Mr. Tebogo Khaas, the Chairperson of Public Interest SA, and we will continue speaking about the concerns of what seems to be a witch hunt against whistleblowers at the Government Pension Administrations Agency, and we did invite the Government Pensions Administration Agency to come and talk to us about this matter, but they had not responded by the time we went to air, so that invitation still stands, and we certainly will follow up. Mr. Khaas, thank you so much for your time.